Radio 4. Now, the classic serial. 10 years after his escape from the notorious Château d'If, Edmond Dantes has arrived in Paris, determined to seek revenge.
The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Adapted by Sebastian Bonchkiewicz. Part 2.
Of course, Danglars is consumed with envy, but he'd never go so far as to actually admit it.
And this Count of Monte Cristo has called upon your husband?
Paris is cold for May.
Apparently, he requested a line of credit at the bank worth over 6 million francs.
6 million?
According to Danglars, he is as rich as Croesus. And the apartment he has bought himself. Oh, the pride of the Champs-Élysées.
Goodness.
Not that anyone's actually seen it, of course.
But Paris is also alive with rumour.
He received no visitors.
8 weeks in town and not one invitation, despite his being invited to every fashionable salon there is.
No.
Outrageous, isn't it? Speaking of outrageous, I take it you've seen the front page of this morning's newspaper.
I have. And I, for one, do not believe a word of it. Commander Fernand de Morcerf, a national traitor? Nonsense. Your husband should be ashamed for printing it.
My words, exactly. But will Danglars listen?
As far as I'm concerned, the mere fact that the de Morcerfs are proceeding as planned with this year's spring ball categorically proves that the commander has nothing, absolutely nothing to answer for. Do you suppose the Count is invited?
One would imagine so. Monsieur de Villefort will prosecute the case if it ever comes to that, I assume.
Oh, please, don't even speak of it, dear Hermine. People have been coming and going all morning. To be honest, it's a blessing to be out of the house.
Oh, how very inconvenient it must be for all of you.
Edouard, I do not worry about. He's such a wonderful, wonderful child.
Indeed.
But Valentine... To be perfectly honest with you, I'm at something of a loss as to what to do with that silly girl this afternoon. She's so very Valentine.
Take the dappled greys out for a ride.
Oh, now?
Why not? The carriage waits in the courtyard.
Oh.
But let us now attend, most honoured friends, to the clatter of hooves and wheels on the cobbled streets as they thunder towards those same apartments, the apartments of the Count of Monte Cristo. And watch as, terrifyingly,
What's happening, stepmother? Hold on to your brother Edouard, Valentine!
they suddenly found her.
I just can't imagine how it can have happened, Count.
No.
And let us now witness the first act of the cataclysm the Count has come to wreak on those who so maliciously betrayed him.
1 minute we were in the carriage, and the next the horses are... Whatever happened, do you think?
I have no idea.
The rearing. Oh.
Oh, drink a little more of this, Madame de Villefort.
I can't think what we would have done if your man had not been there to assist us. I cannot.
No.
What is this?
A tonic to revive you, nothing more.
And Edouard? Where's Edouard?
He and Valentine are next door.
Are they all right?
I believe Valentine is reading and Edouard is playing contentedly with his toys.
If anything were to happen to that most dearest of boys, then I don't know. I really don't know what I would do.
And Valentine?
Valentine is more, how does one say it politely, self-contained. Takes after her late mother, my husband's first wife.
Then she is not your daughter?
Heavens, no. This elixir is really very good. Was it made from some sort of compound?
It was.
Of what elements?
Is chemistry an interest?
To a frivolous, silly woman such as myself, but yes, Count, yes. The light that science casts on the invisible world has always fascinated.
In that case, I would be delighted to enlighten you.
And as the wife discovers the secrets of the Count's elixir, So the husband...
Order! Order! This emergency tribunal will come to order. Monsieur de Villefort
makes his case.
The allegations prepared by the Crown Prosecutor's Office against Commander Fernand de Morcerf are as follows. 1. That during the war against Turkey 10 years ago, he actively conspired with the Turkish authorities against our ally, the potentate Ali Pasha. 2. That he profited personally from this act of treachery. And 3. That this betrayal led directly to the assassination of one of France's most trusted allies, as well as ensuring the eventual victory of the enemy. Order! No matter how unpalatable the members of this committee may find these allegations, it is my intention to provide you with an eyewitness tomorrow who will directly corroborate all that the Crown alleges. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
What always intrigues me about this particular elixir is how easily it can be appropriated into something infinitely more dangerous.
Dangerous? In what way?
As you have just demonstrated, a simple readjustment of the chemicals is enough to produce a deadly poison.
Poison?
So subtle, one would have difficulty believing the victim had died of anything but natural causes.
Very macabre.
But I think that perhaps Madame de Villefort has had enough of her chemistry lesson for one day.
It was most diverting, my dear Count.
A pleasure.
And may I say how magnificent these apartments of yours are?
They are nothing to what my house in Auteuil will be.
Your house in Auteuil?
A house I hope that you and your husband will do me the great honour of visiting. Number 28 Rue de la Fontaine.
I'm sure Monsieur de Villefort will only be too delighted.
Although I trust you are not afraid of ghosts.
Whatever do you mean?
Well, the house comes with a most curious story, but I'm sure you are in much too much of a hurry to hear it.
I believe you are toying with me, monsieur.
I?
Yes, you.
Well, the story goes that there were once two lovers. He, a young widower, she, a beautiful heiress. Not long after their secret affair commenced, she found she was with child. Neither could afford the attendant scandal, and in their desperation, they decided to bury their newborn under a tree.
No!
Where the pathetic remains were tragically unearthed many years later.
Dear God! Who would do such a thing?
And it is said that one can still hear the infant's ghostly wails in the night. Of course, it is just a nonsensical story.
Of course. And I have taken up far too much of your time.
Not at all.
Now, I shall gather up the children and bid you adieu.
Will I be seeing you at the spring ball this evening?
Sadly, no. My husband does not believe it appropriate. These dreadful allegations against Commander de Morcerf.
Ah, yes, the allegations.
Well, naturally, I don't believe a word of it, but my husband is, well, the Crown Prosecutor. Are the children through here?
They are.
Then I shall see myself out, and thank you again.
I've never seen a house like it.
Count?
Yes, grandfather, the Count of Monte Cristo. They say he's even wealthier than you.
Wealthier? Possible? Not.
The house of the Crown Prosecutor, Gerard de Villefort, is a tall, somewhat gloomy house on the Champs-Élysées.
And tonight he is going to the spring ball. All of Paris cannot stop talking about him. The stories one hears. Slaves.
And in its attic sits an old man whom illness has all but struck silent.
You?
And his beloved granddaughter.
Not?
Valentine de Villefort.
I was to attend, but father has forbidden it on account of these charges against Commander de Morcerf. And I was so looking forward to going, because among the invited guests is... Oh, that I might see him for just a moment. Oh, grandfather. He is of good family.
Who?
I cannot tell you. I wish I could, but I cannot. Father would never allow it.
Cry. Don't. Jean.
You look truly beautiful tonight, Haydee.
Now at last, most honoured friends, it is time for me to make my first...
You shall dazzle them all.
...appearance.
My master exaggerates.
You're trembling, child.
Forgive me, master, but I am afraid.
Of what?
Of seeing him again.
I shall be at your side. No harm will befall you.
But if Commander de Morcerf recognizes me?
Remember, I am always with you. After you.
But for the briefest of moments, the Count hesitates.
I do not believe I can do this.
And in his head...
Dantes.
A voice.
How am I ever to endure this night?
The voice of his beloved and long-dead friend and fellow prisoner.
By remembering that you carry out God's will.
Abbe Faria.
But if I fail him?
You are God's instrument, here to carry out his divine will and take his just revenge on
Fernand de Morcerf.
Trust in him, and you cannot fail. You cannot.
You are, as ever, my truest guide.
Now go, Dantes. Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Count of Monte Cristo and Mademoiselle Haydee.
Excited, curious eyes now peer over exquisitely ornamented fans, and sharp, curious glances bolt wild as white lightning across that ballroom bedecked with flowers.
Remember what I taught you, Haydee. Never look down.
And it is now that I see him.
So we meet at long last, monsieur. You must be the Count of Monte Cristo. An honour. Fernand de Morcerf at your service.
Commander de Morcerf, permit me to introduce Haydee.
Enchanted.
The man who murdered my father, my mother, my brothers, my sisters. The man who now gently takes my hand in his.
Yes.
The man who now raises it to his...
Enchanted.
Lips.
May I ask how long you have both been in Paris?
A few weeks. Your son Albert has been most hospitable.
And has my son had the great good fortune to be introduced to the charming Haydee?
I do not believe he has yet had that pleasure. Perhaps you were on an errand for me that day.
Perhaps, master.
An errand? Haydee is part of your household?
She is my slave.
Your... Oh.
I bought her in a market in Constantinople some 10 years ago. She was a child then, barely 9, I believe. The blue of her eyes was what first caught my attention.
They are indeed lustrous, Count.
And had obviously seen such terrible suffering.
And did you learn much about her history?
I learnt enough.
Which was?
That she was the daughter of a cruelly betrayed sultan, and as a consequence of that betrayal had suffered the most terrible misfortunes.
We've not met before, have we, Count?
I do not believe we have.
But I understand you have visited Baron Danglars.
In fact, we spoke of you amongst many other things.
You spoke of me?
Only in the most roundabout of terms, you understand.
Well, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance at last.
The honour was mine.
I hope that you will both enjoy the ball.
Indeed.
Count, Haydee.
But as the commander walks across the hall, he does not so much as look at another of his fashionable guests. Instead, he opens a side door and disappears into his study.
Albert!
Yes, Father?
I need you to take over my duties tonight. Dear God.
Tell me what's happened.
It was Monte Cristo. Your friend, Monte Cristo.
What was?
It was he who has spread this terrible rumour against me. I know it is.
You must be mistaken.
I am not mistaken. The girl...
What girl?
The girl he is with.
You're not making any sense, Father.
Please, Albert.
If he has dishonoured you, then demand satisfaction.
I can't do that, not with this wretched tribunal tomorrow. How the devil do you know this Monte Cristo, anyway?